And now, coming live from the Midwest Racks and Rod studio, it's the Outdoor Show with your host, a man who convinces his son it's okay to poop in your pants. It happens accidentally. He does it frequently, and I'm not talking about his son, Scott Biscobing, with special in-studio co-host, Nick, a man that has been balding since I'm going to go with 12, Faber. And the man behind the mic tonight, Drew.
I don't know what I did to deserve that one, but I mean, you too. I mean, it's your first time co-hosting, and right away he's got to go with bald jokes. I mean, you're wearing a hat at least.
I had to cover it up.
Sometimes I got to remind people that I am bald, so I went without a hat tonight. But yeah, that's I don't know.
I don't know if the lights and the camera can handle two bald people. The reflection.
Yeah, right. It might be a little bit much. I definitely see a glare going on right here, but they'll have that. So, yeah, like Drew said, welcome everybody to the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Show. And again, like Drew said, let's welcome Nick Faber, first time co-hosting. Can we get a round of applause for Nick Faber? He's just cruel tonight.
He's mean.
No applause. Oh, there we get some applause. But no, thanks for joining us tonight, Nick. It was one of these situations where actually I reached out to you recently here, and I was like, hey, would you ever be interested in co-hosting sometimes? Just because between Drew and my schedule and Luke and our guests and stuff, it doesn't always sync up, and our producer Luke was unable to make it because of working out of town this week. So Drew hopped back into the producer seat for the first time in, well over a year. Wouldn't you say there, Drew?
Something like that. It's, I mean, I think I produced, the first couple shows that we did in the new studio, right? I think I produced from up there.
Yeah, from up here, right.
That was
we had it rearranged a little bit different at that time, but so yeah, Drew's back in the saddle of producing and trying to figure out our new software a little bit. So bear with him a little bit. I think he's done a good job here so far tonight. But so yeah, like I said, I asked Nick if he would, as you guys know or may remember, Nick just joined the team a few months back, and we had him on just a couple months ago. Maybe not even.
Yeah, about a month, I'd say.
Maybe a month or so ago. Yeah. So we threw him right into the fire here. Be like, hey, come on in.
Yeah.
Co-host. So now we're real happy to have you. And tonight is our annual Turkey Talk episode. We kind of do one every year, and they've evolved a little bit through the years. And just a little precursor here to here tonight. By no means do any of us here, myself, Drew, or Nick, consider ourselves experts.
No.
on the subject or whatever. We just we enjoy turkey hunting, and we're kind of going to talk a little bit about turkey hunting and some of our past experiences, and kind of go from there. So
Yeah.
does that sound good to everybody? Before we go any further, though, we do have to mention our show sponsor, as you can see right up here, Midwest Racks and Rods. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Easy Cut Products.
This episode is brought to you by our partners at Easy Cut. Easy Cut was born from the desire to build extremely high-quality, lifetime guarantee tools that work and last. You heard that right, folks. Easy Cut products are guaranteed for life. Easy Cut has always strived for the highest levels of customer service and complete customer satisfaction. Easy Cut's time-tested designs have survived the harshest environments and toughest individuals. From weekend warriors to the hardcore professionals, the Easy Cutter is someone who hates junk tools and doesn't settle for anything less than the best. Head over to easycutproducts.com. That's right, folks, easycutproducts.com, and try them out for yourself and feel the difference. Easy Cut, gear you can count on.
He really does. I mean, we say this every episode, but he really does have a voice for radio, doesn't he?
does.
And a face for it. I see I jumped on it.
How much we pay him? I think he's going for a raise.
Definitely a face. Definitely a face.
Definitely. So yeah. Again, guys, we can't talk highly enough about Easy Cut products. If you haven't checked them out, make sure you guys head over to easycutproducts.com. And everybody on the team, we use the products constantly. We have been well before they were even a show sponsor, and we will continue to for many years to come. We absolutely love the products, and we know you will too. So, all right, let's get into some turkey talk. So the season's coming up here in Wisconsin. I know a lot of the other states here in the Midwest, and we are Midwest, not Wisconsin, although we're based out of Wisconsin here. I know Illinois started they're already like in week 2 now.
That I don't know.
I think they're in week
They're
2.
Bears fans. We're going to talk to them.
If anybody from Illinois is on, you can chime in. And in fact, we'd love to hear from all you guys. Let us know how your season's going, what kind of action you're seeing with the birds. Because tonight we were actually talking before the show about this warm weather. I mean, unseasonably warm weather. It's back-to-back days in the mid-80s.
Yeah.
Which is nuts this time of year. Absolutely nuts. It's I don't know if I can ever remember. And I mean, we've seen this like by the end of April, even sometimes in early May, but this is really unseasonably warm. So we are a little curious as to how this is going to affect the birds. I mean, what were your thoughts? We were talking about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, kind of when you go for those tags and you're trying to pick what you think is going to be the weather and what you think is going to happen. I mean, I've had years, like this weekend is the youth hunt, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I've had years where I've taken kids out and it's snowing and it's cold and they're still in those huge groups. Decoys really don't affect them that much. It basically comes down to patterning them. And this year, I don't think we're going to see that too much. I mean, we are going to get colder. There's a chance of snow. But after it's been this warm, I personally haven't seen them like regroup back up thinking, oh, here's winter again.
Right.
Once they start getting into that, I'm taking over. I think that it's going to stick like that for a little bit, and you're going to roll with the weather. But I've been seeing quite a few birds scouting that have been strutting when I'm going up north and stuff. So they're already pushing around. I know my parents seen in the backyard today. There was a tom that was chasing a hen around and chasing some jakes around. So I mean, they're getting active already. I mean, they're getting dominant. So
this actually really could be a good weekend for the youth.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't rain. I mean, they were saying
that's
so
true.
that would kind of stink, but
yeah. Mark Johnson chimed in and said, week 1 ends tomorrow in Illinois. So I was right.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're already basically through week 1 here already. And because I've been seeing a lot of birds going down there. And they've got the warm weather. I know on my cameras, I don't know, do you ever run cameras and that to kind of scout?
yeah, I've got one out right now. I just set it up the other day when I set my blind up and whatnot. And I've been getting a couple of hens coming through. I had one tom, but nothing too crazy yet. But it's usually the spot that I hunt in that area. It's always seems like it's a BC kind of season there. Early season, I've got a couple other spots that I run to when I do the youth hunt and stuff. So just keep as many properties and keep scouting.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a certain feeling from some guys out there, your purists, if you will, that running cameras and stuff. I mean, I guess it's the same thing with whitetails too. Some guys are just like it's about woodsmanship and stuff like that. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't care.
Yeah.
If I can try to get an idea of where, because we know turkeys aren't always roosting in the same spot.
Yep.
They're going to have a main roost, and then they're going to have 1A, 1B, or
Yep.
2A, 2B. Based on their movements throughout the day, or pressure.
Yeah, or predators too. Push them.
Yeah.
Get them in areas that they're not usually in, and it's getting close to dark. The coyotes are running and pushing them. I mean, they're going to get in a tree, and they're not going to bounce around. If they can get in a tree and they're safe and it's big enough to hold them, they're going to sit there till the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we see that so often. So yeah, like I said, as far as using the cameras, yeah, I want to try to get a little bit of a pattern on them. If you're the kind of guy that only can get that one season, or you're only have time in the spring, and your season basically, and if for some guys that might just be a weekend.
Yeah.
And why not try to get that edge and try to figure out where these turkeys are moving. Obviously on private land it's a little bit easier, to kind of determine if it's property that you're familiar with. On my leases, I still run them.
Yep.
Because it does change from year to year. We had some select cut done in a bunch of our different pines, and that actually really did affect where now they're roosting more in the big mature oaks.
Yep.
That are branching out real far. They obviously, in the thicker stuff where the branches are kind of shooting straight up, well, that's not ideal for a turkey to roost on. They want those longer branches in that. And in fact, sometimes, I mean, how many times have you heard them go up there and they land on a pine branch and they're like, oh, it's a little too heavy for this one, and crack.
Yep.
And then they're like flopping around trying to get onto the next one.
Or drop to the ground and take a run and go to the next one.
Take another shot.
Yep.
So turkeys, they're crazy.
But about the camera thing too, I mean, to people that say like, cameras are cheating, it's unethical or whatever, same as deer. It's no different than scouting. I mean, if I'm driving around, if I have the opportunity, like I usually do, scout in the morning, scout in the afternoon, what's the difference if a camera's telling me it's there, or I'm binoing them and I'm watching them where they're coming out every day. I'm watching where they're roosting every single day, and I've got them to a pin. It's just a helper if you don't have the opportunity to scout mornings and nights. I mean, otherwise it's the same thing in my opinion. Cameras and scouting, they go hand in hand. I mean, It's not like deer where, they're coming through at different times of the day. I mean, turkeys don't move at night, so with that being there, you can get an edge, and it helps you if you don't have that free time.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Our leases, for example, there's really no other way to scout them.
Yeah.
Without actually getting out there into the property. There's nothing you can glass from a long distance.
Yep.
I mean, there are some fields, but you have to actually walk through their territory.
Yep.
And near their roosting areas to actually get to any spot where you could glass them out in the field. So it's like we try to get those cameras out, as early as possible. Now, a lot of times we'll do that when we're out shed hunting. Well, this year we put them out and we were trudging through 20 inches of snow at that time. So there wasn't a whole lot of shed hunting going on. What's that, Drew? You got?
Yeah, so Mike Mason just chiming in real quick. He says that he lives 2 hours away from his turkey ground, so cameras are a must.
Yeah, we're an hour and a half from our leases too. It's not, you can't just get out there every night.
Yep.
If I hunted more locally here, if I was hunting public land or I had permission on a farm, I would be scouting from the road and getting behind the houses and that and glassing. But that's not always the option. So cameras are a great tool for that, and why not? I mean, increase your odds if you can.
And even if you go up on a weekend to scout your property up there, let's say it's windy, let's say it's raining, let's say the weather doesn't match up to when, it's going to be for the time that you're hunting. I mean, they're affected just like deer are with the weather. Mm-hmm. I mean, rain and stuff, obviously they'll still move, but they're not as active. They're not running as much from what I've noticed. Sunny days and everything. Wind, sometimes they don't want to come in the field. They're going to sit in the woods because they don't want to get blown around.
Right.
They can't see as good because stuff's moving.
Yep.
Obviously, they rely probably 95% on sight. I mean, I don't know if they have the best smell, or I don't think scent's ever bothered them for me. But, basically their ears and their eyes 100%.
Right. Absolutely. In fact, like by us, just recently, we picked up on camera, our landowner with some of the family, a few family members, I'm assuming, were out. It looked like they were shed hunting out there.
Yeah.
And they were tooling around, and I was getting turkey pictures every single day. And after that, like, everything shut down.
Yep.
For almost, like, I would get a sporadic picture here or there for like the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
And it's so, like, being out there, it definitely, you don't think about that when you're out deer hunting, right? When you're out there, you're worried about, jumping deer.
Yep.
And that, how many times do you actually jump turkeys? Quite
Yep.
a bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that, but you're not really thinking about unless you're fall turkey hunts. I've done it before, but
Yep.
it's just kind of like it's an extra,
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
Thing
I always
to
get
do.
one just in case one walks past.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But you can really, you could push them off your property. They could find a spot that they like roosting even better. You'd be like, well, maybe we're not going to go back over there. Now 1A becomes 2B.
Yep.
Because of pressure.
Yep.
Like
Or food
we
source.
talked
I mean,
about.
they pick an area clean, especially in woods. I don't do a whole lot of deep woods hunting. I mean, most of my hunts that I've been on, almost probably 90% of them have been in a field. So, I mean, when it comes out in the woods, I'm sure they pick through, acorn seed, whatever they can eat, bugs and stuff, and then they're going to move to the next spot because it's clean. And if they find a spot that there's a full buffet, they're going to be hanging out in that spot. And that's why a lot of people, too, when you scout the woods, it doesn't always mean because by the cameras, you're not calling or anything. You're just relying on your camera to pick up one wandering past. You throw a call out there, obviously it's going to make them run in. So you never know what you're going to get.
Right. Yeah. In fact, what we did this year is we kind of lined up a bunch of cell cameras. I mean, they're spaced out quite a ways, but we had an idea because we scouted out. We tried to see what we could find. We just had fresh snow the night before on top of the 16. Now we were at 20 inches. So it was really hard.
Yeah.
Because those birds aren't going to move around a whole lot in that. But we did find some spots on a ridge in that near a potential roosting area. And we found tracks and we found scratching that where they were digging up the snow in certain areas, like underneath some of the cedars and that, where there wasn't as much snow and they could dig down and get actually down to the earth. So in the spots that we put the cameras at, we cleared out the snow in big areas in that. That almost kind of to attract them to that spot, to get pictures in that as well. But so that they had easy access to the ground to dig up the grubs and, whatever it is that they're, they're eating in that, in those leaves and stuff. So kind of cleared out that area. And it honestly worked really well for locating them. And then obviously they're going to work through that area and then they're going to move on and stuff. But I think we do have ours in a pretty good spot here where it's kind of an L shape that we ran this through on the property, where it went through the ridge onto the top of the hill, and then there's a power line and it goes out to the field. And then we have a camera or two facing out to the alfalfa field and that. And we don't hunt right on the edge of that field. We hunt in a little bit kind of in those travel corridors.
Yep.
And that, whether they're going to roost in those pines that we're near that are right by the field and they're going to drop down and go to that field, whether they're on the other side of that field on another property, or whether they're in the hardwoods and the oaks along that ridge line, chances are they're going to take this high line path. We call it the high lines. It's a power line path.
Yeah.
The power lines are no longer there. Actually just got removed like 2 years ago in that, but that whole wide path that runs from town all the way out to where we're at is still there. And so, yeah, I mean, cameras I think are great. And, on public land, I think there's a lot of benefits to using them on public land as well.
Yep.
I mean, I know guys that get a little leery about using cameras and stuff on public land for fear of them getting stolen and stuff. But I think, if you're in an area that you do feel safe about them or you have them secured enough, they can be extremely beneficial, especially cell cams.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not having to go out there and, again, disturb things, much like deer hunting. You're getting that intel sent right to your phone. I mean, it's the first thing I do when I get up in the morning, and that check the camera and that, or check my, see what's on there. And I do the same thing then at lunch and the same thing at dinner, and then right before I go to bed, always kind of checking that out and kind of getting excited about what you're going to see, and then disappointed when it's a dead day and you're like, well, what's going on? Okay, so what's the weather like today?
Yep.
Was it high winds? Did we have rain? Temperature? All these kinds of things. What other pictures are you getting? Did a coyote come through?
Yep.
Did you pick up a coyote on camera? I mean, we get bobcats by us. We have badgers on our property, raccoons. I mean, there's so many different things that are going to affect the way these turkeys move.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And then going back to cameras, too, like on public land, I do know quite a few people that for deer too, they actually bring their climbing sticks with them, and they get them elevated to where if someone wanted to steal them, they either got to bear hug the tree or they got to bring their own sticks. It can
Right.
deter people from like, oh, I can't even check the card. Some people don't lock their cards up, and guys come in, they'll clear them off, or they'll take the card out of
Take
there.
the card, right? Leave
So
the camera.
yeah,
right?
exactly. So you put those up a little bit, and you get those like tilted stands on it. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to cover that area if you're not
Right.
too high, of course.
Yeah.
And you can still get that. And you don't have to worry as much about people trying to steal your stuff unless they go back and get a ladder or sticks and that work. Boy, they're really not that expensive. You could just buy one.
Right, exactly. I know I've seen at some of the trade shows, and I don't remember the name of the company or whatever, but they have this tool that you put on like on a cordless drill that you can on a big extension pole, and you can screw them in that way.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
God, I've seen them quite a few times. I don't know if I saw them this year at the what's the one in the Dells that I was just at? It used to be the Wisconsin Deer and Turkey Expo. Whatever. Open season. That's what it was.
Okay.
Open season. I didn't see it there, but they were there last year. Then again, I might have missed it though too. But yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. But I mean, then I looked at the price and it was something like over $200. I'm like, I don't know about that. You might as well just take some sticks out with you.
Yeah. Save a little bit.
I can buy a couple more cameras for $200.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, cameras, great tool, definitely. I like using them, and it's just something else to get you excited for the season to see what's going on out there.
Yeah.
You know, to have an idea. Okay, you know, you see a group of 5 toms together, like, okay, well, there's 5 toms that I know of in this area.
Yep.
You know, like there's been years in the past before we were really using cameras, and you're just basing it off of what you're seeing and then what's happening while you're actually hunting. And at that time, it's like, you know, if you're not hearing gobbles or anything like that, your mind can just start going to, man, is there even any birds around here
Yep.
at all? You know, really start playing mind games with you and maybe get you out of your blind or out of the woods in general a lot earlier than you should.
Yep.
You know, is that something that you've encountered in the past, you know, like getting discouraged by not hearing birds?
Oh yeah. I mean, especially there's times I've got out of the blind and they weren't far away. They just weren't responding back. That drives me nuts. But for me, I'm just one of those people. I'm running and gunning. I'm on the go. Like I'll sit in the mornings if I scouted something, I'll call at them. I've got a couple buddies like my cousin Brock or my buddy Ryan. They can sit in a blind all day, sun up to sundown, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like there's no way. Even if I hear gobbling and it's like 100 yards away, all right, it's been like 45 minutes. I'm like looking at my buddy or I'm looking at myself. I'm like, all right, it's time to go reap them or let's make a move on them, get closer and see if we can make it happen. Now, I busted myself and screwed up a couple hunts because I was calling and they were coming at me and they circled around and I'm walking back. And then all of a sudden we're walking back to the blind like, man, where did they go? And there they are sitting in front of our decoys and feeding around and stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess if I would have sat a little bit longer, I wouldn't have got screwed. But then I've also had those times where I went out and we made a scoot and shoot, we made a move on them and we were able to tag out and it happened.
Sure. Yeah. And that's the thing with turkey hunting is you never know like that. I think there's definitely something to be said about, overcalling and not overcalling.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you're getting the gobbles and then they go quiet, that's actually usually when I get a little, it's a kind of a mixed emotion.
Yep.
You know, it's like, it's that time where you're like, okay, you know, you're supposed to stay quiet.
Yep.
But there's part of you that wants to try to get them to gobble again. Did
See
they
how
go
far.
off a different direction
Yep.
or are they coming?
Absolutely.
You know, is that still getting closer? And you're always listening. And I think it's tougher too when you're in a blind to actually kind of pinpoint that sound. Is like, wait, you get one guy in the blind. He's like, I think that's behind us. I'm like, no, I think
it's over here.
I think it's over here.
Yep.
And you're waiting again, and you're like, no, maybe you're right. And he's like, no, maybe you're right. Maybe it is over there. It does play tricks on you a little bit. But I've had that so often where it's like, all right, you just stop calling, and all of a sudden, boom, they pop up out of nowhere, just quiet.
Yeah.
That's continue. I think actually, Drew, didn't that happen with your bird? Your last bird?
No, well, that happened with the one that that was coming up on the high line and stopped because the deer jumped the fence.
Yeah.
So that was you want to talk about a frustrating hunt.
Right.
Just needed another 10, 15 yards maybe.
Yeah.
And
But that was
Never
the case though, right? It went quiet.
oh yeah, it went
For quite a while.
It went really quiet.
And I think
then
you were getting antsy for me to call again.
Yeah, and you were pretty adamant that we need to sit tight. And, obviously you're a better hunter than I am, so.
Well, there's a compliment. There was one.
But yeah, that one definitely went quiet, and then finally see it on the high line, and then not able to get it to come in because deer come out at that time is, God, insanely frustrating. But what are you gonna do?
Have you ever had that happen?
Oh yeah.
Ever had deer intercept?
I had it last year. They're running
run a
around,
blocker on you?
Yeah. Well, running around that or farmers too. Like not picking on farmers or anything. I've had a spot where I'm watching, like, man, it's towards us, and here they come, plow, plant, whatever they're doing, check, drive around their own property, which they can do. And there they all go running. I'm sitting there, and I had one of my actually good friend farmers. He comes driving up. He's like, how's it going? You guys get anything? I'm like, well, we were gonna, but did I scare them away? I'm like, it's all good. I'm like, it is what it is. It's your land. He's like, I'm real sorry. I'm like, oh, no worries. And the next day we ended up getting one out there, but he's like, I won't do that anymore. He's like, I'll make sure if I see your truck that I don't, come out there and, try talking with you.
Right.
We got blocked by horses once. That was exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was making an adjustment to the decoys because I think it was that same day where we were kind of on the edge of the power line there. We were tucked in the woods, and with the decoys kind of out by the power line, so we're about 35 yards in, and we're brushed in real nice. But there was kind of like this little hill in the high line in that. They were coming from that direction, and you could just see the heads popping over, but still out of range. And we're like, well, are they able to actually see the decoys or not? So let's make an adjustment. So him and Mike are in the blind. I think I was just up filming for those two. And I'm sitting there adjusting, and I hear galloping coming at me. Like, what? And I look up, and there's 3 horses in full out gallop running right at me. And I pop up, and I was like, whoa, big fellas. Easy, and then they put the brakes on and that. And I'm like, what? I think we got it all on video too. Like, I'm like, you guys don't belong out here. And then I got a hold of the landowner, and I sent him a picture of these horses and that. I thought it was the neighbor next door, but it was actually our neighbor on the other side. Actually, it ends up being the guy that I used his tracking dog, his bloodhound, a couple years ago. And that really nice guy, they got out, the gate got left open or something like that, and then they took running right straight towards the top of the ridge down to the swamp. I'm like, oh man, that's not going to be good if they go down that thing. So they got to the top, and then they veered back, and I don't know, they eventually, but it was not what you're expecting. When you got your head down, your back turned, you hear galloping coming.
Drew, what are you doing? Why are you running at me?
I was like, oh, that's nuts. But yes, the deer though, running intercept, I cannot tell you how many times that has happened.
It's because you're not hunting them.
It's so bizarre. Mike and I, Mike from the team, this was, probably 8-9 years ago. We were coming in, and we saw some toms out by the pumpkin patch, and there's a big stretch of just cut grass kind of in between us. And I'm like, I'm going to try to just get one hen decoy. I'm going to kind of crawl and get it out here. And then I'm going to, Mike might, if he's watching, he'll chime in and see how it really went. Like, I barrel rolled back to where our spot was. And there was 2 times, and I called them in, and they were coming. And I'm like, we're going to double down. Yeah. We're going to do the 3-2-1 on this one. And like, this is awesome. We're so stoked. They're totally coming. They're coming in. And all of a sudden, along the side, 20 yards to our left, 3 does come out, and they go right out into this open area, and they just stop. So then the toms stop.
Yep.
And they stood there long enough for the toms to walk back to where they went. And then these does walked off. Like, you have got to be kidding me. So I'm like, all right, let me see if I can get them back again.
Yep.
Start calling. Boom, they're coming again. So they get almost to the exact same spot. Now those same deer from the direction they went, they came back and stopped again. I'm like, this is on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, you can't even make this up. Like they are totally, they're like, hey, we know you can't hunt us, and you're going to and fall. So right now we're just gonna fuck shit up.
We're sharing, or protecting our friends. Leave
right,
them alone.
right. I was like, we looked at each other like, I can't believe this. And then there was no calling it back a third time.
No,
like that was it. Like I didn't even think we were getting them back the second time, but here they were. I'm like, all right, here we go. Now's the time. Mike looks, they're coming back. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm calling. No, the deer are coming back. I'm like, no way. Are they coming back? It is like, are they coming into our calls or what?
Yeah.
Like, what is the deal? And then it happened. Well, it happened with Drew. That time they got hung up. They were just about to come over that berm there. Boom. Deer came out right in between us again. Turkeys went back the other way. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Have you had that happen with deer?
I had it once. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. We were set up and we had turkeys, kept coming out in the field, and then they kind of pushed back in the woods, and I'm like, they're going to, end up coming in. They looked interested. They kept strutting, and I'm like, okay. And then a couple deer came out. But the reason why we got in trouble is because, we weren't sent free or nothing, and these deer were like 25 yards away, and they smelt us.
Oh.
They could see us because we weren't in a blind, so they're sitting there looking at us. And then came the stomping, and then they started blowing, and then they took off running. Well, then the turkeys, they didn't run, but every head was up sitting there staring like this for probably 5 minutes. They didn't move. They're all just up like that.
Yeah.
And then I tried calling and stuff, and they never came in. They went right back, and we watched them pitch up. They just stayed right there. But they were coming because they came over the hill, and they were walking right to us. And the deer, like I said, they smelt us, seen us, whatever, stomping and snorting. And the turkeys didn't run, but they wanted nothing to do after that. And I don't know.
Yeah, obviously they've seen deer blow and stomp in that before, and take off running. Maybe we're giving turkeys too much credit, but they gotta, I would think, to an extent, kind of be like, oh, something isn't right over there.
Danger.
If the deer are freaked out, they have some of the same predators as we do,
Yep.
so we're getting out of Dodge here too, or we're not gonna go over there and investigate or see what the heck scared the deer at least. So again, maybe we're giving turkeys too much credit because it is weird, right? With turkeys, like you'll have certain birds that you work so hard to get them to come in. And then you'll have other birds that just come in like almost kind of like deer in rut to an extent, right?
Yeah.
Where they just have blinders on and it's just like so focused on your decoys or just the calls, whatever it is, whether you're using decoys or not.
Yep.
They're so overly focused that they'll just come right in with no care.
Yep.
Carefree.
Just freaking do the shimmy and shake the whole way in.
Yeah, just waddling in, strutting away like it's somebody's business. And then you'll have, the very next day, maybe even the same bird, that just wants nothing to do or just gets hung up, is super spooked. And you're like, what is going on here? What is the reason here?
And that's the same thing. Like, we've shot birds and they all take off running. And then I've shot birds and been a part of birds being shot. And you unload, and all the turkeys, they jump up and they flap and they sit there and they look at the turkey that's dead on the ground that they just heard a cannon go off right in their ear. And what do they proceed to do? Beat the shit out of the dead one that's sitting on the ground like nobody cares. Like, oh my God, look at that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just go kick the shit out of him now, huh?
Right.
Remember when you freaking hit me?
Well, that's why we actually went away from doing the countdown thing. I'm like, I think it would actually be better. Like, let's just wait and see. You know, if there's two of us, with tags and there's multiple, chances are one of them's going to stick around. You're probably going to get a shot at
Oh,
it.
yeah. Or they'll jump up and then they do that real quick, still running, but you can shoot them doing the head shake run.
Yeah, exactly. But it always seems the hens seem to know.
Yeah, they do.
The hens always take off.
Yeah, I'm not
Like
sticking around.
well, let's give the hens a little bit of credit because they will take off, but the toms and the jakes will stick around right after, like you said, a big boom.
Yep.
And there's feathers and blood and there's flopping around in that. And they're like, we should stick around for a little more of this. And,
Yeah. You remember that mom joke you said? I'll get you now.
Well, it's like guys, too, when a tornado's coming, right?
Yeah. Let's go outside and look at it.
Let's go out on the porch.
Stuff's flying around, lightning, trees are falling down. Like, oh, wow.
Yeah, wife and mom and that, they're down in the basement
You guys stay
yelling.
down there. What does it look like? Oh, it's pretty cool. Should we come up? Oh, no. It's pretty dumb to be out here right now.
Exactly. Do we have any? I think we got another comment here. What did Mike say here? Mike Mason chimed in, didn't he?
Yeah, so Mike Mason was just saying that last year his buddy's phone went off as he was watching a Tom stroll in. Not to mention him stating, "Hey, I got a signal."
Yeah, that's no good. So Mike lives out in Washington, and he's been turkey hunting out there for a little bit now, and that's some tough hunting because he's like in the mountains. And
Yeah.
he's got to deal with all the snow they have and stuff.
Yeah, and the Washington State opener is this weekend, according to Mike.
Yeah, but he was in town. I think it was last summer, and we were talking, and like I said, I really want to go out there.
Yeah.
And that. So the plan is we're tentatively thinking about me going out there next spring. He said he'd give him one more spring to get these
Figured out a little bit.
birds a little bit more figured out. Because I'm not sure, Mike, if you're still on here, how long you've been. I don't remember what you said. How many years you've been hunting the turkeys out there, but I think that'll be fun, exciting. Have you gone out west or anywhere else? Have you ever tried?
I have
Some
not.
of the other species or subspecies.
No, I'm kind of interested. I mean, I got actually a buddy Ryan, my buddy Ryan Stens. He does a lot of that. He's obsessed with turkey, and he loves taking kids. I mean, he's taken a bunch of kids. He's really stupid good at it. He's gone out. I think he's got a trip actually planned this year. I forgot exactly which one. Because when he talks about turkey, sometimes I just kind of block him out. Because it's like me talking about walleye fishing. He's like, that's really stupid. And so, But yeah, he's done it. He asked me, I think next year we're talking about possibly going out and doing one. I'd like to get, this is how good I am at turkey hunting. What is it? Because I haven't gone out west. Is it Osceola? What's the one with the white one? It's got like the whiter tail feather, like on the top.
Oh,
I
the
think it's
Marion.
Marion, sorry. That's the one. Yeah. That's what I want to get. That's on my bucket list for a turkey.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think once you start getting out, like around the western part of the Dakotas, and that you get some of those, what do they call it? I mean, like a crossbreed between some of them.
Yep.
And then you have the Rios and the Osceolas and that. I mean, I think it would be really cool to do a turkey slam.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that would, of all the slams,
Yeah.
that'd probably be at least a good one. I mean, one that, not to say it's easy, for anybody who's done it, but it's probably easier than doing some of the other.
Oh, I think, yeah. I mean,
Sounds
it's
amazing too. I mean, turkey slam, right?
Yeah, I think it would be. Well, what's the ones that are like down in Mexico and that now? Are those like the ones that are super colorful?
Oh yeah, it looks like almost like a peacock, right?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know the exact name of that.
If
That'd be
anybody's
a cool
watching,
one too.
chime in here. I know
Yeah,
what
where's
it is. I
Ryan? He
just
knows all
cannot
these
think of it.
turkeys. He should be on right now and telling us what we're doing wrong.
Right.
But yeah, I got a question for everybody. If you had to pick running, gunning, sitting down, what would it be? And on top of that, what weapon do you prefer? Like when you go out, if you could pick one thing, that'd be like, if I shot one with this, that's like my bucket list. That's my like hit list for a turkey to get it with, 410, 20 gauge, shotgun, bow, recurve, all that stuff. I mean, all the different, weapons that guys can use for them. What would be your pick and be like, that would be a bucket list kill if I could do it with this? Like a recurve again. I mean, and it's like,
Yeah.
And the same thing like reaping. I've seen guys trying to reap them with the bow. I mean, that ain't the easiest thing, try and hide behind the decoy, get your bow, draw back, and go over the top. I mean, that would be my bucket list, is a bow reaping. That
Sure.
would be pretty dang impressive in my opinion.
I'm gonna go with the big ass Rambo knife. just, I'll shut up now.
No, I was gonna say turn the camera on because your face was just like, yeah,
You serious?
a Rambo knife. I would say, I think you're absolutely a trad bow, long bow, something like that. I would be, but I don't even use one now.
I don't either, but if I had the opportunity and I could do it, that would be to me like the most epic way to get it done.
Oh, for sure. Brad, who we had on from DI Wild for our last episode, I think, I know I don't remember. I feel bad. Brad, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I know I have pictures of you drawing back on one. I can't remember if you got it or not. Yeah, I don't remember. Do you remember, Drew? Did he actually get one?
I'm 99% positive that he did. I know he said that he also missed a few.
Yeah, I know he said he missed.
stalking
That's what I'm
with the
saying. But I'm
longbow.
pretty sure he got one because he uses it quite a bit. And and I said, well, what's your effective range for both deer and turkey, and he's like 20 yards.
Yeah.
And
That's
you got to
close.
get him in close.
Yeah. I mean, you're using a blind. Obviously, he's using a blind because I don't think you can sit by a tree and get maybe real quick. But
No, he doesn't. No, not a blind.
No, really?
No.
Holy cow. That guy's a badass.
He is. He is a badass.
He is the real life Ted Nugent.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think he's working on it anyways. But yeah, no. And all the pictures, yeah, he's like on the ground,
Dang.
not reaping either, just getting on there and getting behind some thick stuff. And I think that's actually might have been why he missed once or twice, is some deflection or something. But,
Yeah.
But I mean, it's legit. I mean, that doesn't get much more legit than the
Right.
way that Brad hunts.
No, because you got to be pretty much squared up. I mean, those things aren't throwing out that much power. So I mean, if you're not hitting it in two of their chest plates are pretty dang hard. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know where I guess you would be effective aiming on a turkey with a recurve or a longbow like that. I mean, and at 20 yards.
I mean, not everybody's Tim Wells. They're taking heads off and stuff, Like, I mean, they tell you, behind the wing.
Yeah.
At that crease right there. That's where I aim as well. Unless I'm using the shotgun, then obviously you shoot them in the face.
Yep.
Which I've taken a couple birds too, where I've aimed at the face and then I hit him in the neck. In fact, I blew the beard off of one.
Really?
And I was literally out there. I'm sorry. What do you got there? Okay, perfect.
I was there for that.
Yeah, you were there for that.
I remember scrounging the ground trying to
Pick it up, chunks of the beard to put something, like hot glue it together at the end. And that, in fact, it's that bird right there. That's why there's no beard on the bottom of that one. I have the beard. I just have not. It's in a Ziploc bag, all piece. I just haven't gotten the hot glue going out to make a little wad on the end and put it back together. But walk up to it, and it was a real nice bird, right? And then I was like, where the hell's the beard? And then I kind of looking at it, and it's like, I caught it just below, well, I shouldn't say just below the head. I hit it in the neck. And then, I mean, the beard is just below that, I didn't find I don't think I found a single pellet or anything like that in the breast meat, which is surprising.
Golden BB to the head.
It was weird because you would have thought, like, if it was enough to blow the beard off, you would think that there'd be something there.
Yeah, there was nothing in the breast, and I'm also extremely disappointed in myself because I ruined that video of the hunt.
Yeah,
I was
so he was
excited.
He was recording for that one.
Just F-bomb after F-bomb. I'm an idiot.
I mean, like an F-bomb isn't bad, right? But it was
20 in a row is.
It was just one after another. Like, fuck yeah. And I was like, watching back the footage.
That was my first taste, So
right.
It was. I went out there to film you, and then also to see, like, do I want to get into turkey hunting?
Right.
And it was in that moment, I was like, oh yeah, this is for me. This is what I'm going to be doing now is turkey hunting.
Yep.
That's not but yeah, at least you actually recorded it, because I can always dub over sound. Mike also recorded one of mine too, and he double tapped the record button, and I was all excited. I to go back and watch the footage, later on. Then let's pull the SD card. Let's pull this up on the TV, back at
Who
camp.
deleted it?
And then I'm like, there's nothing here, and I was like, oh man. And I think I was still with Real Deal Outdoors TV at that time, and then I'm like, I've got no footage to give them now. This and that. I mean, he felt bad. It happens. I mean,
So Mike was saying that all in terms
different.
of
This different Mike I'm talking about.
Mike Mason. In terms of Washington, all the rage out there is single shot 410 with TSS shells.
Yeah, well, that's starting to be all the rage out here.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to. I don't know. Have you heard that too? Seen that, like 410?
Oh yeah, my buddy Victor last year. I don't know if he did or if his brother did. They used a 410. They got one. I haven't yet. I have one, but I haven't.
Yeah, it's like you're using a 12 gauge. Like, what, you're trying to blow it up? Like,
No, I'm just trying to kill it.
Just trying to kill it.
Yeah, that's all.
Just trying to get my bird. Like,
Have you ever done reaping? Spoon shoot reaping? You ever
yes.
try that?
Yep.
You got one?
have I got one with it?
Yeah.
No. No.
Want to pop your reaping cherry this year?
I do.
Okay.
And we're gonna get into that because we got some stuff here that we're gonna share with you guys here, and get into a little bit of that reaping stuff because Nick, I think Nick kind of thinks himself as a little bit of an expert on it, and we're not experts.
Not an expert,
but he no, and
I
I'm
brought
messing
some
around.
friends on that. Actually, Jeff, I can see just commented on there. I took him on a couple turkey hunts and a reaping one. It is almost more fun to watch someone reap one than doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Oh, I
That is
could see
unreal.
that. I could definitely see that. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I think we're gonna take a quick intermission here in just a minute. So if you guys stick with us here, we're just gonna take a quick intermission. Go ahead, refill your drinks. It is Thirsty Thursday. We got ours, and because of that, there's other things you have to take care of when you've been partaking, if you will. So we're gonna go ahead and take care of that. We'll be right back. We're gonna talk a little bit about calling. We're gonna talk a little bit about reaping. I think a lot about reaping. I think we're going to really get into that because there's different schools of thought on that. Some guys don't like it. So, they feel negatively about it, and other people are like all about it. So we're going to get into that and more when we come back. So stick with us. We'll be back in 5 and 5.
Well, if anybody has questions too, send them now.
Yeah,
When we come
send them
back,
now.
We can answer them about reaping or anything like that. We can go through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys in 5 and 5. All right, and we are back. Thanks for sticking with us, those of you that did, and if you didn't, you're dead to me. Just kidding. No, we're back, and we're talking turkeys. Nick's just setting up. We're doing a little TikTok live here, messing around with the TikTok.
All right.
So we are back, and we are, like I said, we're talking turkeys. We left off. We talked about how we're going to talk about reaping and calling and stuff like that a little bit. But while we were on our break, we actually were talking a little bit about some different birds that we have encountered in that over the years, or have had friends and stuff. We have you said you had a buddy that shot a piebald.
Yeah,
A couple years ago.
Yeah, it was 2019. That was actually We pulled it up and took a look before. I was trying to remember when it was. Yeah, that was that was pretty dang epic.
Yeah, I've yet to see one in person now. Drew and I, our dad last year had, I guess it would probably be considered a piebald. This one was far more white, but it definitely wasn't a domesticated turkey. And it was a Jake last year. And I told him, I said at that time, I'm like, man, I was really tempted to come up there and hunt it. And then I'm like, if it was a Tom, I would have been there in a heartbeat. I would have like dropped everything, you know, all my other hunting plans as far as where and what I was going to do. And I absolutely would have gone after that bird. Now he hasn't seen it this year because I'm sure somebody, who knows? There's a variety of reasons why that bird isn't around anymore, or he hasn't seen it himself. But that would be really cool. Now, have you ever heard of peacocks getting loose and breeding with turkeys?
I have not.
I didn't think that was a thing. I had no idea that it was even possible. But I want to say it was about not 15 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. My buddy Mike and I were hunting on one of our properties, and all of a sudden we called in this bird that was just, I don't even know how to describe it. It had like iridescent. Turkeys have iridescent colors in some of their feathers, but this was more not like a peacock though, but it had a longer tail.
Yeah.
And it yelped and everything just like a hen turkey would.
Yeah.
And it responded to it in that. But it had longer feathers, like longer tail feathers. It never fanned out. We were pretty sure it was a female. We didn't see a beard or anything. But it for sure looked like a turkey. And look, I've seen peahens, right? Because a female, it's not a peacock, it's a peahen. It's not a female peacock. Common mistake people make. But anyways, we were just like, what in the world are we looking at here? This is insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, and can we even shoot it? You know, like could we shoot this
Is
thing?
this legal?
And so, and again, like at the time, we didn't know what the heck we were looking at. Well, then we talked to the guy who cuts wood on this property with our landowner, or like he gets permission to cut down the old trees and take the wood and stuff. And he's like, yeah, there was a peacock farm not that far away that a few years back, a whole bunch of peacocks got loose and they were never able to get them all in that. And there's been a bunch of these sightings with these half turkey, half peacocks. And I'm like, this is incredible. I'm like, and to this, that was the one and only encounter we ever had. And I've never, I guess, researched it enough to find out, like, if there was one with a beard, you know, or can they even grow a beard, or, you know, or did they only produce female, whatever. I don't know. But I was like, man, how cool would that be? You know,
that's freaking nuts.
And to this day, I can't even say 100% for
anything?
Sure. We do. I did with a phone. Like I said, this was probably at least 12 years ago. And
so it was like a Razor flip phone?
No, it was probably like the Droid one or something like that, you know, with the slide out keypad. And that, so probably took a little bit better pictures than a flip phone would, but probably not much better. But yeah, we did get, because I think we even took some video too. Like Mike took some video of Like it sounded just like a turkey.
Yeah.
And we've been to the zoo, right? Yeah. Milwaukee County Zoo here, there's just peacocks walking all over the place and that. And never once have I ever, you know what else is weird though, is they always have wild turkeys walking around in there too.
Yeah.
That just like they fly in.
Yep.
Like
Same
they're
as
not
geese
part of
and
the
ducks
zoo.
too, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
They're not part of the zoo. The peacocks are. I'm like, I wonder if there's ever been a situation like that.
Oh, I
where there's
guarantee
been
it.
some
Yeah.
mating. Like, I don't know. If anybody knows, if anybody's ever heard of that, I'd love to hear from you. Because we were both like, nobody's ever going to believe us. Like, I don't even know if I believe us. You know what I mean? We literally
What are we
saw
looking
it.
at?
Yeah. And I want to say, I mean, we were probably only turkey hunting for a couple years at the point. I only first started about 15 years ago.
Okay.
That's when I started turkey hunting. And for me, it was just being self-taught, kind of figuring it out.
Yep.
YouTube 15 years ago wasn't what it is today by any means. So it was, even at that time, you're still kind of like reading magazines and watching and trying to figure out and just kind of figuring it out, on your own the best you can. For you, how was it like when you started turkey hunting? Was there somebody that got you involved?
I guess my family, my Uncle Greg, my cousin Brock, they're the ones that, kind of talked me into doing it. And I'm like, I really have no interest in it. I said, I have other things going on, fishing and stuff like that, Wolf River, De Pere, stuff like that I was more interested in. And then one year I'm like, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to give this thing a whirl. And me and my brother-in-law, actually, we went and gave it a shot. And I was hooked. I was like, this is actually pretty cool. Like the birds look cool and everything and the way they reacted and stuff. And then, same thing. It was self-taught. Like, I mean, I watched, hunting videos. I bought the DVDs back when YouTube, again, wasn't as big.
Yeah.
And it was DVDs. I watched, I think it's like Drury Outdoors. And
Drury's real big. Yeah.
Real Tree in them. And I watched a bunch of that. Primos, I think I had a couple videos. And I just watched and tried learning as much as I could. And I'm like, the trial and error. I mean, that's the only way you're going to do it if you got no one taking you. So, that's how I got into it.
Right.
So Jess didn't take you out turkey hunting?
Oh,
then?
Jess?
Yeah.
No, I don't know if she knows what a turkey looks like.
I only bring that up because if it wasn't for my brother, I probably would have never gotten into it. Because I remember talking to, I think it was when we were deer hunting. Wasn't Russell into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was into it for
But I think you're thinking of Jim.
Jim, yes, of course, yeah. And I thought, man, it seems so foreign to me. It actually seemed kind of dumb, and I couldn't have been more wrong.
Well, Jim was out. This was one of my dad's good friends, and we used to hunt with him many, many years ago. And I think my dad asked him one time because Jim was really into turkey hunting, and my dad asked him if he had to choose one or the other, which one. And this guy was a diehard whitetail hunter. Mm-hmm. And he's like, in a heartbeat, I would, if I can only do one, it would be turkey in that. And to this day, I mean, even as much as I love turkey hunting and that, like for me, it's always going to be whitetails.
Yeah.
Well, what really, because I think I said that, right? If I had to choose, it would probably be turkey until I became successful again last year, deer hunting. And you get that rush again, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah,
I remember what this was like. But like you've said plenty of times on the show, like for you, what got you really excited, I think even the first time when you just came and I needed somebody to film for me, was calling and getting a response back from these birds.
100%.
And then when that response turns into now laying eyes on them then, closing the deal, like, that is pretty intense and pretty fun.
Oh,
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I'd say pulling the trigger on a turkey to me is almost the same as pulling the trigger on deer, because duck and goose hunting, I love doing it. I'm obsessed, but I get I get excited, heartbeat races when ducks and geese come in, but not like a turkey, because ducks and geese, we're shooting multiple. Mm-hmm. When it comes to deer hunting, for the most part, you're shooting one at a time. Yeah. Turkey is obviously the same thing. You're shooting one. So, like, it's coming down to this. You have one shot. Like, if you miss, like, there's the, scared, you get one, maybe, and that's it. You don't get it, you're not going to get it. It's not like duck hunting where you can have 10, 15 or geese, 10, 15 come in. you're bound to hit one of them. I mean, they flock up, you shoot, and they all go in the air. You can hit anything you want. Turkey hunting, it's usually when you're aiming, it's just one of them, unless they get close, and then obviously you gotta make sure you wait and make sure nothing's behind it and everything.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it is definitely it's an adrenaline rush, and obviously because it's at that time of year, it's right after winter time. I mean, there's lots of stuff to do in the outdoors, but it's kind of that time where there's not a lot of, other than fishing, unless you're obsessed with getting on the walleyes this time of year, or any of the fish that are spawning and stuff. Like turkey hunting really fills that need to be out there hunting and
that itchy trigger.
Exactly.
Trigger
and
finger.
putting that camo on, and that camo absolutely 100% meaning something.
Yep.
Those
Early mornings, those crisp mornings when you're walking out, you can see your breath.
Yep.
Getting out there, sitting down, and getting ready. Oh yeah.
And you're starting to get a few little leaves on the shrubs and stuff. Things are just starting to open up. Everything's kind of waking up. You get some, warms up a little bit during the day. I mean, we've turkey hunted in snow, all sorts of different things, but typically speaking, it's that springtime, and it's like, man, this is so fun to be out here and doing this. And
It's also kind of cool to be able to hunt together.
Right.
Yeah.
Have the opportunity. I mean, when you're talking deer hunting, that's really not feasible. I mean,
It's solo.
you can film and stuff like that, but it's totally different.
Yeah.
In terms of having to be quiet, you
Sitting
can
by
actually-
yourself.
You're in a turkey blind, you can carry out somewhat of a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in a blind for sure.
Yeah.
100%. So, and with that, I guess let's get into that a little bit. We're talking about blinds, and we're talking about reaping and the different ways, still hunting. Like it used to be the thing where the only way to hunt was full camo, face mask, back up against a tree, calling them in with a mouth call and just being on the ready. Well, obviously there's so many more ways to hunt nowadays. Some guys prefer ground blinds and using decoys. Some guys don't want to use decoys. They only want to use calls. Some guys will only use pot calls or box calls. Some guys are really, really good with mouth calls and that. I, for one, suck with mouth calls really bad. I shouldn't say really bad. Like when I do it at home.
You think you suck with a mouth call.
I mean, and it's like anything else, right? Practice makes perfect.
Yep.
I have several that I keep in my truck and that, but then I have to remind myself to pull them out and mess
Practice.
around. Because you can't at home. It drives the dogs crazy. It drives your wife crazy.
Yep.
Your kids just want to get in your face and
Yeah.
be like, "Can I try?"
Can I
I'm like,
try?
no,
Yeah.
you can't try.
It's got all my spit
Right?
and
Like,
everything.
yeah, here. You want to put this in your mouth?
Then they do it.
And you're like,
Yeah. I get another one.
but yeah. So it's like when I do practice, for some reason I can call okay, and I'll say okay at best. But then when I get out in the woods, and that it's like I completely forget, or because you're so afraid of making the wrong sound, that I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm really good with the pot call. I'm like, I'm really good with the pot call. But that also limits you then a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're not good with the mouth call, and you are that guy that's up against the back of a tree, and you're in that position ready to shoot.
Yeah.
And that, well, you can't set your gun down and then I just need him to come in a little bit further.
Yep.
Now you're you're stuck a little bit. So there is a case there where, being in a blind or actually having another guy maybe.
Yep.
If you do have somebody filming you and they're backed a little ways, that they can be hands free.
Yep.
A little bit, and then they can call a little bit to bring that bird in a little bit closer.
Well, Primo's had a call that actually went on your stock, and you could move your finger. I
have
never used it.
I have it.
They had it. Okay.
Yeah, there's black and
Yeah,
like
it was
neon
like an
green.
atomic bomb or something like that. I
Yeah,
thought.
you could strap it on to your barrel, and then there's like a string
Yeah.
that you can pull on your finger, and it's not terrible. It's not terrible.
It's
but it's
something
not
if you
great.
know the mouth call. So
Right. It might be just enough.
Yeah.
It might be just enough to either screw it up 100%
Or close it.
Or close the deal. Yeah, I definitely have that. I have that. So for you, how are you with mouth calls?
not Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not terrible. It's kind of to the same thing as like goose and duck calling. I mean, it's all from the diaphragm. It's, you know, up on the roof, moving the tongue, everything, and deep and air pressure and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not terrible. I'm definitely not the best. I mean, I've heard some of the guys at some of those shows and stuff, and they sound exactly like one. Like if I was in the woods, I'd be running at them like, I'm gonna shoot you.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of mouth calling. I prefer mouth and slate. Especially if I'm doing scoot and shoot and stuff like that, hands free, then I'll use the mouth call. The slate, I feel like I get a better sound out of it. It sounds more real, but I do like the mouth call in the aspect that if I'm in an area where I don't know if they're over here, I can hit a mouth call, you know, cup your hand and shoot the sound back that way. Then I go like this, shoot the sound back this way. Otherwise, with the slate call, you got to kind of, you know, put it out the window this way or this way. And I feel like it's obviously directed down, the holes and everything on the bottom, so it's shooting down, so you kind of got to move it more compared with your mouth and your hands. You can throw it in different directions. And also, if a Tom's calling back, you know, you can call like this and sound, if he's that way, you sound louder. Then you go like this, you call this way, it sounds like you're going away. And I feel like sometimes when you turn it this way, it sounds like they're going this way. Then he's coming like, oh shoot, they're leaving. Okay,
Right.
she sounded really close to right here, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Now it's over there. I might want to go investigate that before she gets out of range.
Exactly. I mean, because I think that's what sometimes certain turkey hunters fail to recognize or remember in that is that the Tom gobbling, his gobbling is trying to bring the hens to him in that. Like he's like, no, you come to me.
Yeah,
woman.
I'm here.
You know, so for you to have the right kind of cadence to make him say, all right, fine, I will go to you.
Yep.
I mean, that's a difficult thing. And I think sometimes certain guys will not think about that, and they'll just randomly yelp.
Yeah.
And that where there's more to that call to get that right kind of cadence, so that you are absolutely enticing.
Yeah.
In that, what is there a certain pattern that you like to use, or is it kind of just situational?
Yeah, it's kind of situational. I mean, it depends if I'm hunting a field, if I'm hunting the woods. I think a lot of things that I do wrong with other people that do wrong is too loud. You know, if you're actually watching scouting or you're listening to birds, I mean, when they're at a distance, they're really not that loud, and your call does project. So if you're sitting there blaring away on your mouth call or your slate call, some of those birds that are obviously more educated or been hunted, they're gonna know like that hen is loud. I don't see her, even if you're in a field and you got decoys and they're 150, 200 yards away, and you're screaming on that. A smart bird's gonna look over and be like, something doesn't seem right. That's really loud. And again, there is some that come running in, but for the most part, what I've witnessed is overcalling and loud calling is my biggest downfall. The biggest mistakes that I continue to make.
Sure.
That I need to stop doing.
Yeah, overcalling, being too loud. Sure. And I think that's 99% of issues that anybody, in terms of mistakes that you make, is probably that.
Yeah.
You know, is the overcalling or calling too loud 100%, or just not being, not watching your movements and stuff. And I mean, that's a big one. Their eyesight is huge.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier. That's such a big one. You brought a few calls. Is there? What do you got for us here, man?
I got a few mouth calls. Some I use, some I don't use, and then I've got the same slate that I've had that when I worked at Cabela's, I recommended. I got an owl call too, or crow. Sorry. What is this? The Primo's Jackpot. So that's the one that I use, slate. When it's not raining, obviously when it rains, it doesn't work so well. I've got my favorite one is actually the piggyback. That's the mouth call that I have. Sandpaper to rough it up on there. Yeah. But I got quite a few mouth calls. I got some custom ones that my buddy had. Was it TRF calls? A couple of those. But mainly if I want to sound about the best, it's always this. This to me, slate. I've used box. I've used a couple different ones. This for slate, for some reason the slate always seems to come off the best. I can control it the best. I don't make a mistake on it usually when I'm practicing. Yeah. Those are the ones that I usually stick with.
See, I've got slate too, and I've got Primos, but I actually really like glass personally.
I've never used one.
Really?
I have one. I actually had a friend make me a custom one with our picture in it from the first turkey she ever shot. Oh, sure. And I didn't want to scratch it up because I'm like, my picture's like it was really, really nice, burned wood and everything, super, super nice call. And it's got her picture in it. And I'm like, well, she's like, it's a really nice call. Like, it was expensive and whatnot. You should use it. And I'm like, well, then what's the point of the picture in there? Because I'm going to scratch the crap out of it.
I mean, and I've seen them too, where there's like a turkey feather on the on the inside and stuff. And, but yeah, I really of glass when you condition it properly.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing.
Yep.
Is conditioning it the right way, and so that you can get a variety of different sounds out of it.
Yep.
And not just yelps, but you can get the clucks and the purrs and that out of there, because I think it's those finesse cadences that is going to close the deal on those tough birds.
Yeah.
When they're hung up a little bit, when they're just like not quite sure, and like a yelp's not going to do it. They're like,
No.
I don't, you know.
Yep.
It's too It's too loud, probably even, you know, even if you're trying to direct it away or kind of muffle it a little bit. And again, most guys don't, because they're like, well, I mean, if say you're in a blind, you're thinking it's already muffled.
Yeah.
To begin with, or like you can't judge the distance that bird is, or you think the bird's a lot further away than what it actually is.
Yep.
So you're calling extra loud, and it's screwing up the bird. They're like, that doesn't sound natural.
Yep.
The biggest thing I love is when I can call in hens in that, and then
they
I
do it
can
themselves.
Right. And they can do it themselves, but then also pay attention to the volume of those hens and, you know, what cadence they're using as well too.
Yeah.
Like, what sounds are they making? It's the same thing, you know, not to get off the subject, but with white-tailed deer.
Yep.
You know, you hear guys all the time, you know, with grunt calls and that. I've heard so many bucks grunt over the years. And when I watch shows and stuff like that, I've never heard a buck sound like that.
No.
You know, like so many, like these deep roars and stuff like that. I get it. It happens.
Yeah.
And that, but it's so few and far between. The way a buck sounds grunting is so vastly different than what you hear guys actually doing. It's like, no, like, I don't know. It blows my mind all the time. I'm like, there's so many videos nowadays, especially of like, you can watch on YouTube and that, like, hey, look at this buck come grunting in.
Yep.
And it's much softer. It's the pitch is different. It's not as deep as so many guys try to make it. Like, they got to roar or something. Like,
if they're going to go for the loud and the noise, I mean, the horns, that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Rattling.
Right.
I mean, the grunt is supposed to be like, if it's within, I'd say 100 yards and it's quiet and they can actually hear it. You know, right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then you're going to get guys that just want to blow on that thing to get its attention until it moves its head. Then it's, oh, now it can finally hear me. So I got to keep blowing on it that hard. What's that, Drew?
So Mike Mason was just saying, do you guys have a locator call cadence? And if so, what is it?
Farting.
That's disgusting. You're gross.
Owl. For locator, it would be owl. For me, it's owl. If I just get out somewhere, like I'll slam my tailgate.
Yep.
Slam truck doors. You know, anything that's kind of is a loud, startling sound in that. But I don't. That's actually funny that he would bring that up, because I've actually seen some stuff here lately on social media where I don't know, somebody had posted something about people not knowing how to properly use locator calls, like crow calls, or that crow calls shouldn't even be used.
Oh, this
that
is
owls only. And
I guess it depends probably in your area, but this crow call, that's why I have it in there. Hands down, anytime I'm hunting in, I guess, the areas that I hunt, the properties that I'm hunting, if I hear crows calling and they're flying over the top, whoever's next to me, I say, shut up right now, listen. And I've heard more gobbling off of a crow call in the roost during those early lights than sitting there screaming on a call. Like, yes, they do call back, but hands down, if they're not calling and I call at them and they're not calling back, I hear a crow fly over and they gobble, and then I get pissed because I'm like, I'm not good enough for you? Does that not sound good? You don't like that? Now, what do you want now?
Right? I mean, if you're going to use a turkey call to locate, what would you say the best, it should be like a tree yell.
Yeah, mine's it's like real loud and real quick, just like whoop, whoop, so I can hear them. Because a lot of people, if they do that, I think the problem is if they are at a distance while you're doing like whoop, 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 doing that,
Yeah.
and they're gobbling. Well, you're not going to hear them if they're at a long distance, and you're still hitting that call because all you're hearing is yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I usually do I just do a real quick. Just if I'm going to try and do it this way, is just, and that's it, just as fast as I can, so I can hopefully hear them gobble. Because even if right at the first note they gobble, by the time I stop after that third note, I'll still hear the little.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%. Like I don't think you need to overdo it for your locators. I mean, we usually use owl, the barred owl, but I would say we're not that great at that either. Some of these guys could just do it,
yeah.
and like they sound amazing.
Yep.
And that, but there's a reason why I have a terrible voice for this, and I have a terrible singing voice and all that. Like it's just no, I don't know. I'm not super good. Now my buddy Mike's a little bit better, and that, so he'll usually, when we're hunting together, he steps up on that. But like I said, when I'm parking the truck and I'm about to go out, I slam that tailgate.
Yep.
And that usually is enough right there. And if I don't, then I don't call for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going to that central spot where I think, okay, you're going to be either here, here, or here, and then I'll do something like you said, just some quick yelps.
Yeah.
And that. And if I don't get anything, then it's like, well, I'm eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or I might just hold up until I actually hear, and then I'll start moving into that direction.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're the same way, but so you really think the crow call is the way, or in your experience anyways?
In my experience in my areas, yeah, I've had the best. Like I said, I don't even use it a whole lot. Like I'll do it if I hear some in the distance and none of them are flying over and making noise. I'll hit mine then, and I've had great success. Like I said, also real ones flying over the top. I've had more gobbles off that than anything. Sirens, cars, noise, anything. I've heard it more with them. Again, it's more flying when they go over the top. Yeah. So that's why. And I'll wait till sun up too. I think a lot of people too make the mistake of hitting this call or hitting the crow call, and the sun's barely up because they're trying to locate him. Yeah. And it's like, okay, no turkey's gonna be calling it that early. I mean, have you ever heard a gobble in the pitch black?
Have you heard a crow in the dark?
Exactly. I mean, yeah. Right. So I think that's a thing. Again, I think smarter, more pressured birds. You got to remember, everybody's throwing this at them.
Yeah.
Be unique. Do something different. Don't do the same thing that they're doing, because they've even had that approach at them. You got to change something up and do a little bit different, especially if you're doing public land.
Go ahead and hit that crow call for us.
Oh, boy. Do you like that?
That just made my night. Thank you so
much. Yeah, I definitely think, you're 100% right in terms of.
Uh-oh.
Scott Bast.
Uh-oh.
First off, thanks so much for joining us, Scott. He says, great turkey chat, but can you throw in some Briar talk?
Did Briar ever make any turkeys, or did they make any ducks, Drew? Maybe we should ask you, did they ever make any?
All right,
any duck toys?
Yeah, let's just talk about anything else.
That's good, Scott. That's a little inside joke. If you've ever seen any of our episodes with Scott Bass, he's a big horse guy in that. And as it turns out, we both collected as children Briar horses. You know what I'm talking about?
To turkeys and ducks.
So yeah, it's an ongoing joke between us.
But that being said, if you haven't seen those episodes, you can find them right on our YouTube page, our Facebook page. Go back and watch them. They're a lot of fun. Highly recommend you check them out.
Yeah, it's always a good time when Scott joins us.
Absolutely.
And for those of you that don't know, Scott is the owner of Easy Cut Products. Again,
brought to you by Easy Cut.
There you go. So, all right, so that's calling. And then let's just get into the reaping part of it.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
All right. I'll let you say your piece.
All right. Well, for the reapers out there, the guys that do it, I started doing it when I saw it actually when I worked at Cabela's. I'd be lying if I said how many years ago. So I started doing it after I saw them do it. My buddy Victor actually bought one of those Mojo Reapers, and it was the first time I ever did it. And there were some that were back in the corner, and he's like, just get down, go over that hill, you'll be fine. I go up there and I'm getting on my hands and knees, I'm crawling up my gun. Also, when you're doing that, watch your barrel. It sticks in the mud real easy when you're doing that crap, especially plowed fields.
For sure.
I'm crawling, I'm going over, and then I stuck in the ground. I just kind of wiggle it back and forth, and all of a sudden I look.
That's what she said.
They just come shimmy shaking. I'm like, no way. Put the gun in the decoy. I'm sitting there and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I keep looking between the feathers and I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like, and all of a sudden I popped up and I thought, bush. I thought they were, I'm like, okay, that's, close enough. And I'm not kidding you. It was from here to the wall, 5 feet away. I stood up and I looked at them and I'm like, and they both like kind of took 2 steps and they looked and I think they knew their fate. They're like, all right, which one? And boom, shot the one. And the other one took like 5, 10 steps, stopped and looked, comes running as I'm standing in a plowed field, no camo, no nothing, comes running up to try and kick the crap out of that turkey that I just shot. And I'm like, hey, like yelling at it, like, it started going away and kept looking back and then, oh, okay. And then it finally took off and I'm like, what the heck? And then that kind of got my passion to reaping. And you can ask any of my friends, family that I've taken out and I've been with, I will never go turkey hunting without a scoot and shoot in my blind or with me, because there's been so many times where if we got decoys out, we're calling in a blind against a tree, whatever it is. I've had turkeys that'll just stay out there. They'll stay with their hens and they won't do anything. You can call nothing. They don't give a crap. They don't care. And I'm like, oh, get out of the blind or pick up that decoy and start scooting at them. Like right now, I'm like, right now. I said, get behind him and keep going. I said, go, like 10 yards. I said, then just kind of wobble it back and forth. Go like this, pick it up, make it look like it's moving, but keep your body behind it. Keep it out far enough because too many people bring it really close. And for the most part, they don't get spooked, but sometimes they can see your big body behind it. And then you look too big because you want to look small. Like the decoy that I have here is a scrawny, ugly little thing.
Why don't you pull it up there?
Oh, this decoy has, if it had a camera and it could talk, the amount of birds that have been killed over and next to this thing is unreal. I mean, it's been beat to crap. Like I said, we go scooting shooting and we'll go like this. I'll just go like this and I'll move it back and forth. Just like that. So it looks like it, and I'll go like this, move the fan up and down. And I've had more turkeys, literally come booking it. We'll be in a blind and they want nothing to do for an hour. You'll be sitting there just getting pissed watching them. And they don't want nothing. We start going out there and, we'll send one of us. Obviously, both of us can. And I actually have done double scoot and shoots where my buddy has one like this and I have one like this. We've scooted together and doubled up multiple times.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
So now you did, and you made that one there.
I made this.
So now that is one of those cheap foam.
Yes.
And then you cut it off. And
I cut the beard a little bit because I use it as a decoy as well. I stick it out because when I stick it down, it sits lower compared to some of those Magnum decoys that guys use. And the feathers used to look really good. I mean, it's in the back of the truck. It's been beat up. It's been attacked by turkeys. It's the cheapest and the best decoy. Nothing against the people that make them and do it.
Right.
You can see, obviously, it's been borax, and this is a Nick job right here. That would be zip ties and Gorilla Glue in the back. And then, yes, I bought a cheap decoy, cut it in half, and I glued it and zip tied it to the front.
It's only stupid if it doesn't work.
It is, and that's why I know for a fact it's not stupid. I'm stupid, but this is not. Guaranteed to get you a turkey. But, you can do this at home. I honestly recommend it. Again, some people are against scoot and shooting. They don't think it's as ethical. It's not as cool. I get that, but not everybody has 7 days and really, really good property to get it done.
I guess I just want to touch on that. Explain to me how it's not cool to scoot and shoot.
I think it's super cool.
I think it's badass.
I think it's cool.
Hell. And then on top of that, in terms of, I don't know if we want to touch on this or not because everyone's so damn sensitive, but ethical or unethical, how? Why?
I never understood the whole talk about ethical and unethical on certain hunts like this, because at the end of the day, we're all aiming to kill a turkey. And if I can leverage myself personally to be better and legally kill a turkey the right way, what does it matter if I sit all day long for 7 days straight and I kill one on the last day? Is it more rewarding? Absolutely. Right. I sat 7 damn days and I finally got one. Yeah, I'll appreciate it more. But if I don't have 7 days and I'll sit in, like I said, the field, and if nothing comes out, I will literally not give up. Again, I don't sit all day. I sit for the first 2-3 hours and I'm out. I get in the truck because I know they're still in the fields, and I'm going to drive around to my properties. And if I see them in the field, I'm going to approach them with the scoot and shoot. And there's years where every single time we've done this, it's worked. And I mean, it can be the quickest hunt. I had my buddy Joel last year, went to the spot. They were all in the corner. I was getting my clothes on because I got done with work, and I'm getting my clothes on. He's walking up there to do the scoot. I got my clothes on. I got the blind out. I got everything packed up. I was just about to start walking up. Boom, he was done.
I guess I find that interesting because, you know, on the same token, right, a guy like Brad, right, who's scooting with a longbow. Would anybody question whether that's ethical or not?
No, probably not. I mean,
It's because the bow separates it. It makes it different.
100%. Like, yeah, if you're using, you know, a trad or longbow or recurve or whatever, it's like an instant pass.
Yeah.
Always.
It comes down to
probably rightfully so. But
oh yeah,
I think there's you know, I think Mike Mason just even said, you know, do you wear knee and elbow pads? That's a lot of crawling.
oh no, I'm used to being on my knees.
God, Jesus.
How do you think I get permission on this hunting land? You guys think this stuff's easy? I got rug burn and I got jeans with holes in them. I make sacrifices for my friends.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
You
Fair
got to.
enough.
Yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, going back to it, I mean, it's as ethical as you want to be. I mean, it's just like deer hunting when people, you know, get mad about compounds, get mad about crossbows. Everybody can be a keyboard warrior. Everybody can hate on everybody. If you're doing it legally and that's the way you want to do it, you just respect your other fellow hunter and let them do it the way that they want to. If they're doing it legally and they're having fun and they're tagging out, it's their tag, it's their money, it's their property that they have or have permission on. There's nothing you can do about it besides yell online, which at the end of the day, no one really cares what you have to say. If you're going to complain about someone being successful, doing what they love to do, and you're jealous because they shot something that maybe you wish you would have shot.
Right. You're 100% correct. And that's all we see these days is keyboard warriors and people having something to say about something. Whether it's because of jealousy, because somebody has more land to hunt than somebody else, or, you know, whatever the case is. Again, like you said, weapons, and we talked about it before, like like Mike said, all the rage is the single shot 410 with TSS. Well, then you're going to get guys that are going to say TSS is BS too, you know, like,
or they'll say a 410 is not ethical because you're going to wound it. More people are going to wound them. Just use a 12 gauge and get it done.
Exactly.
It's like I said, and anything that you do, hunt, fish, whatever you use and whatever you do, the way that you go at it, someone can find a way to just be that person that just wants to bring up negativity. And at the end of the day, if we all just support each other and have fun, and you shoot something, we should be congratulating each other. We should be happy, because before social media, no one had to deal with the crap of getting people messaging saying, oh, he shot that here, he did this, he did that, he has 150 acres and he's got all this land because he owns a business and he's rich. Good for him. So because he made a decision to own a business and he's got land, that means that we should hate him.
Back in the day, the worst was, you know, somebody said something in a bar.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, that's it.
That was about it.
Yeah.
And probably not even to your face. It'd be after you left and after you're got done telling the story. So
I think that, you know, what's incredibly discouraging is, you know, hunters as a group, right? We have enough pressure from every other organization out there, right?
Yep.
Like, we should be supporting each other and helping to educate, you know, people that don't understand it. And instead we, you know, you find people that end up tearing. We got that battery over there.
Oh no, I got 10%. It's still good.
all right, he's good.
But you know what I mean? Like, you know, like you said, if it's a legal hunt, I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah.
Period.
Right. We need to get over ourselves as a whole, and like you said, start lifting each other up instead of tearing each other down, because we're up against it.
Yeah.
From all sorts from every single angle there is, from anti-hunters and special interest groups and stuff. It's time to, like, stop being so petty and get ourselves all uptight about the littlest things.
Yep.
And think about the big picture, and if we want to keep this thing going for our kids and our grandkids and stuff like that, for generations to come, like, just stop.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I get it that there's purists out there that feel a certain way about certain things, and that's fine that you can feel that way. But at the end of the day, what difference does it make how I do it or how you do it or how he does it or how the guy, in another state does it.
Nope.
If it's legal, it's legal. And let's just leave it at that. But
I think it's because back in the day, if you said something that made someone mad, you get your, nose knocked in, your teeth knocked out. Nowadays, you can say stuff on social media and you can hide behind your phone and your keyboard, and then you don't have to take any repercussions.
right,
So I think a lot of people, if they actually had to say that to your face, they wouldn't say that.
right.
So-
Exactly. Yeah, it's 100%. But we got a little off topic there. Let's
Yeah.
get back to all right. Back to the reaping in that. Now
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times in that, not with like the fan, but just using decoys and
Yep.
stuff. And I have not, other than that time that I was telling you about with that one decoy, and we got intercepted by the deer. I just have not had that kind of success. But
Well, you worked in that nice Tom
yeah,
last year. I mean, he's freaking army crawling across the ground. He's not even hunting it. He's just trying to bring it in for me and Mike.
Yep.
And I'm looking at him like, this guy is dedicated like you read about.
Yeah.
So when you sit there and talk about, easy, it didn't look easy to me.
No, it's not the easiest. I mean, but it's very effective. I mean, I would say the one nice thing about reaping is if you have a lot of properties, you got a lot of spots that are out in the fields. The one nice thing is if you're in a rush and you don't have time, that reap will take 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes max, and it's either going to work or it's not.
Right.
If not, 2 minutes. And then you move to the next spot and the next spot. And just like what you guys were saying, I actually had a youth kid that I took out, and it was like what do they call it, a super Jake? It was like I had a full fan pretty much, and then I had a like 3-4 inch beer, no spurs. It was hung up. It was, I think, his first or second bird. And I grabbed the decoy, I went down the ditch, I wrapped around, and I'm like, I'm going to see if this thing's going to come in because it's by itself. It was the only bird we saw. And I went and I scooted, and I remember telling him, I said, I'm going to hit my mouth call, and I just like do like a stupid, like not turkey call. I said, that's when you're supposed to shoot. I said, because it's going to come after me, and you're off to my right. I said, don't shoot me, obviously shoot it.
Yeah.
And I went up, and I'm sitting there hiding behind that exact decoy right there. Bird comes right up. It's like 15 yards away. It's sitting, and it was coming closer and closer. And I'm like, I have to stop it before it gets in my face. And again, this probably sounds bad. I was dealing with the youth, and I was scared that, okay, that bird's sitting at 5 feet, and he's going to shoot, and I'm in the line of fire.
Right.
So it stopped at
Might
like
get
20
peppered.
yards away, and I did the call. And I look over at him, and I look at the bird, and I'm like, so I did it again, and then I'm like, shoot. And he's like 60 yards away, and I kept saying, shoot, like whispering and trying to be quiet. Now the bird's kind of picking its head up, and I'm like, shoot the bird. And he's like, boom, and he freaking folded and dropped it right there. And I dropped the thing, and I go walking over, and, we're congratulating himself. And I looked at him, I said, did you remember what I said when you're supposed to shoot? He's like, no. I said, when I did the stupid call, that's when you're supposed to shoot. He's like, oh yeah, I heard you do that like 2 or 3 times. I didn't know what you were doing. And I'm like, that was when you're supposed to shoot. He's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, holy smokes. And that when I yelled too, the bird like picked its head up and it started walking away. And luckily he was a decent shot and he ended up getting it. But I'm like, first and last time I'll do that without a gun in my hand.
The closest I got to being successful reaping was it was actually down here in this county, and this was the last season. And 4 days in a row I was hunting these couple farm fields, and I knew for the most part where they were roosting, but I couldn't get like where they were roosting was not a property I was allowed to hunt on.
Yep.
So it was always my hope in that, and my objective was to get them to fly down to one of the 2 fields that I could hunt.
Yeah.
And so the one day, the final day, I'm like, I got to go after them, because they would always go up, down, or they would stay below this hill where I was up top, because it was in between the 2 spots where I thought they would be roosting, and they kind of changed it up from one day to the next. And this was my last day I was going to be able to hunt them. So I crawled through this wet, plowed field.
Oh,
And
wet plowed?
Wet plowed.
Oh.
Wet plowed. Like it had rained. And
Moist.
I'm army crawling to get to the top of this hill. And I'm just coated. The gun is coated. I'm literally checking the barrel.
Yep.
To make sure I didn't plug the barrel in that. And I just get over the top. And there they are. And I pull the decoy up, and I kind of sink back down a little bit, behind it, and I call and nothing. So I move up a little bit closer, and they I don't know if they silhouetted me on that hilltop, and they took off flying. And I quick hopped up, and I shot one, or tried shooting at one flying or whatever, and I missed, or it wasn't enough to even
Get it down.
Yeah. And then I was like, and then I'm just completely covered. I'm like, man, I'm like, that's it. Season's over. I'm like, I'm done. But that was the closest actually probably one of the closest I've come. But I think it could have happened if I would have been a little more patient there at the end, and just, maybe wait till they actually spotted it, and then and maybe started coming.
It's moving it side to side too. And I always tell everybody, when you're new guys, that some of my buddies have done, like I said, I bet you every year the guys that I take out, probably 75% of our hunts when they're successful is with that right there.
Yeah.
Is keeping it out, long arming it. Like when I hold make them look really big. Same thing as that. So you take your turkeys and you keep that decoy. I mean, it's like inch by inch, but you need to keep that decoy out to cover your body, and you won't have a problem. And then I always tell people, like, everybody tries looking underneath it. Like, no, like, don't look underneath it. They're going to see your face and stuff. I said, I take those. I literally, if I'm going to do it, I'll lay the gun down and I'll go just like this at the top, and I'll spread them just like that. So I can take a look through, and I know they're not going to see me. And I continue to go. And again, I'll stop and I'll take a look to see what they're doing. And then I'll go back and forth, move it to make it look like a tom, because obviously they try and spin in circles. They don't, for the most part, don't walk. They spin. So I try and do that. And then sometimes I'll even kind of shake it a little bit. And that's how we've always done really good with it. I mean, it's been hands down the most successful thing I've ever done. I recommend anybody that wants to try it, make the decoy. It's super cheap. Save the fans. Make them every year. My uncle does it now. 2 or 3 of my buddies started making them and doing it now, and they've all been successful with it. It's a great way. My buddy Dylan, he got one doing it. Last year, my buddy Brett got one doing it. Jessica Ann, she does Wild Race Outdoors. I got her first one doing it like that too, and I went with her. We double with the decoys together. It's a very effective way. Again, nothing against any other way, but if you're struggling, you don't have a lot of time, but you have a lot of properties that have a lot of birds, or you're setting up, bring it with you in the blind. Yeah. It doesn't hurt to try it. If they're not going to come in, it's getting close to the end of the day or midday when they're going to go in the woods and the bird's strutting, gobbling, it seems very dominant, give it a shot. You have nothing to lose. I mean, if it's the only spot you have, maybe don't do it because you might push them, but I've done it many times on the same spot that I hunted for 3-4 days. I sat, hunted, nothing. I tried scooting, nothing 2 days in a row. Same exact birds, same exact setup, doing everything the same way. I went out and scooted. 5 toms come running in right into my face.
I think we have a good question here from Mike. He was just, stating that they have a 6-week season out in Washington State. And he wanted to know, do you find birds respond more to calls later in the season, because they do out there quite a bit?
Me personally, no. I think as the season goes on, the birds have become a lot more educated. Because everybody's calling to them, and I guess it's situational. Especially on public land, I think that's for sure the case. If you're on private, it depends if your neighbors are turkey hunting. I think that it's very situational, but I would say for the most part, later in the season, and weather plays a contributing factor. But I mean, when you're talking about hunting in late May, in that warm weather, and they've been called to so much from other hunters, and that, I think there's just a fatigue that happens, and a level of just like, nah.
I think it depends on the birds too, because like I've got a spot that I've shot a lot of birds on, and every single year it's the same thing. They don't respond to calling. Like, they don't gobble. They'll come into calling. I'll get a few gobbles here and there, but it's not like. I've had other spots that every time I touch the damn call, like I go, it's boom, gobble. Again, gobble. Yeah. They come running in. I've got multiple spots that are like that. I've got this one spot, for some reason, they don't care. You could give them anything you want, call, nothing, and they're sitting on the field and nothing. They don't care. But then I'll see them sitting out there and like they'll get into a fight or something. Like I saw some jakes, they were locking heads and they were spinning around. Yeah. And they're firing off, gobbling and making all that noise. And I'm like, can you not hear me? Right. And I think that it just comes down to like it's certain birds, like they see something going on, and that's when they're gobbling. They don't care about sound.
Yeah.
So I think it's all comes down to that, and obviously pressure is a huge thing. I mean, how often they've been getting hit and called that, and that's why I personally like private. I mean, most of the farmers I talk to, they hate turkeys. I mean, they'll almost pay you to go shoot them. I mean, I've had multiple farmers like kill every one of them. Like, yeah, that'd be fantastic. If, Wisconsin gave me 15, 20 tags, I would definitely do that. But I'm like, I can only get one. Kill as many as you can. I'm like, I got a bunch of buddies that got tags. I'm like, if you want them gone, I'm like, I'll make it happen. And a big thing too, I recommend people. I mean, if you're driving around and you see birds in a farm field, ask the farmer. Majority of them are going to tell you, go kill them, especially in this area that we hunt.
Yeah.
They want them gone. They want them dead. And the other thing too, I always recommend too, even if the farmer asks you or tells you, kill every one of them, we want them dead, blah, 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 get them a gift card, get them a case of beer, get them whatever you can. Give something back, because at the end of the day, these guys are giving you access to their land. They're paying the taxes. They're letting you go on their land.
Yeah.
Don't, one, pick up your garbage. Two, don't drive in their fields if they tell you not to, especially this time of year they plant it. And give them something. You will make that farmer's day. You gave me a case of beer and I want to just shoot everything.
Yeah.
You can come back every single year.
Well, and you never know what else that can turn into.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of other hunting and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Deer, ducks, geese.
So yeah, that's a really good point and really good suggestion. As far as the calling in the later season though, too, one of the things that I've noticed is, well, actually, I wouldn't even say later season. I think it's season to season, because I know I've had seasons on our properties where they're super, super responsive in that, and the next season they'll be super quiet. You'll see them kind of like what you talked about.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter about location on the property, but it's like almost from one year to the next. And this last season was one of those seasons where the birds were really, really quiet.
Yep.
You'd hear a little bit of gobbling from the tree, and then once they hit the ground, it was like they went quiet.
Yep.
And the one thing I had noticed, again, using the trail cameras, was there was more coyote pictures and bobcat pictures.
Yep.
So I'm guessing, it was my assumption or my theory that they got a lot more quiet on the ground to not give up their location
Dinner bell
so much, because there's extra predators around.
Yeah.
But I think that's something to take in consideration too, is what is your predator situation in the area that you're hunting. If you are noticing that there's an exorbitant amount of coyotes and bobcats or other predators, those turkeys might get a little bit more quiet.
Oh yeah.
Because they're pressured by that predator.
That was supposed to be a dinner bell. It was just really delayed. Yikes.
Sounded more like a doorbell.
Yeah. Who's here?
I thought, who's here? Who's chiming in here?
Well, Mike says he's going to come out and hunt Wisconsin with us for turkeys, and I couldn't disagree more. We're coming out to you, bud. We're going to hunt some turkeys out in Washington.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, if we can make that happen. What's your best turkey hunting story? Funny, crazy, exciting, memorable?
Oh man,
Is there anything that sticks out?
Almost all of them. Come down to that. There's always something that gets, messed up in there. I'd say not, the most memorable, my own personal hunt. I've been on a lot, take a lot of youth out. Hands down, my favorite is watching, the kids. I used to take this Colby kid out when he had when he was youth, and I loved it. I loved seeing him. He never hunted. His family didn't hunt. And I got him I started for his birthday. I bought him his first tag. I said, hey, here's your birthday present. I got shells for you. I got camel for you. Let's go. And watch him shoot that bird and getting excited, sitting there shaking, that was memorable. My wife shooting her first turkey, and she's never really hunted. She likes it, but now we got kids, and it's hard for both. Yeah. So I'm selfish, and I go, and I leave her at home. But watching her, she shot, and she's sitting there just shaking. Is this what it's about? And I said, yeah. I said, this is it. I'm like, this is why we do. I'm like, that adrenaline rush, what you're feeling. I said, that's it. And so my favorite one, though, was this past year. I shot a turkey that I've been looking for forever. I've never shot a double bearded turkey. It's always been one, which I've shot some nice ones with the bow and stuff. But the one thing I wanted was a turkey that had like two beards. And I drove past the field. I saw a bunch out there. I went and started shooting at them. And I got fairly close they came in pretty close. I think I had 5 or 6 that were at like 15, 20 yards. And I'm sitting there. I was looking for this one called Paintbrush because it was the thickest and biggest beard that I've seen.
Yeah.
And I'm watching like, that's not it. That's not it. Then this one stepped out and I couldn't see because I was looking through the feathers and I saw 1, 2 beards. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I don't care about Paintbrush anymore. Like, you got 2 beards. You've been on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I shot it and I can't remember exactly. It was either 6 or 7 beards that I had on it.
Wow.
So that was
Yeah,
my
actually, I
most
think I've
memorable.
seen that picture.
Yeah, that was my most memorable, hands down. And then a good story is the week later, my buddy Joel had his tag, and we got Paintbrush, so he died too.
Oh, nice.
So, what about you?
Well, we'll get to me in just a second, but when it comes to the beards and double beards and that, would it make a difference if it was a hen or not?
No, I mean, I haven't shot one. I was with Colby. He shot one that was a 9.5-inch bearded hen. It came in, and I was sitting there, and I knew there was Tom's gobbling.
That's a big beard on a hen.
And I mean, he came walking. I'm like, I think it's a hen. And he looks at it. I'm looking at him like, that's a hen. And I looked at him. He's like, what do I do? I'm like, well, you can shoot it. I said, he's like, what would you do? I'm like, I've never seen a bearded hen. I said, so if it was me, yeah, I'd shoot it. I said, I'm like, it's kind of rare. I'm like, I mean, especially one like that. And then I had to have another buddy shoot one that was like because it was the last day he needed to get it done. So we did. But yeah, the 9-inch bearded one, yeah, I wouldn't hesitate. I mean, that's pretty rare in my opinion. And let's just be real. It's just going to get hit by a car anyway. So what does it matter?
I don't know. For me, just trying to manage my properties in that and knowing that I've got predators and stuff like that around. Now, I don't know if there's any science to the beards on a hen.
I don't know.
In terms of reproduction or anything like that. Like, can a bearded hen still mate and lay eggs and
I believe
all
so.
that
I
kind
think
of stuff?
it's just like a doe buck thing that like the does that get horns. I think it's just like they still can produce and stuff. I think it's just that they just happen to grow that.
Sure. Yeah. I guess I've never really, and I didn't even really think about it until now, but I mean, for me, I think I would probably maybe once in my life, take one if the opportunity came. But overall, like, when there's fall hunting, right?
Yeah.
And you're allowed to shoot hens. I guess I'm just still not really overly, unless I knew that I had an exorbitant amount of hens.
And that's most of the properties
area.
that I have, honestly. Like
Sure.
one of the places, I call it Hen Island. I'm not kidding you. I mean, most years there's 40 hens and there's like 7, 8 jakes and like 5 to 6 toms.
Right.
I'm like, and I mean, when I fall hunt, I do target a tom. If I have a fall tag, I don't really care about a hen. That doesn't tickle me at all. I want to go for the tom. If I get the opportunity, I buy it every year.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
I've shot
same
them
here.
a couple times bow hunting. They come wandering through and I look over, I'm like, oh, look at that. Okay. Then I shoot a tom, but I don't aim. I mean, again, during the spring, if a one hen that big comes through, yeah. But if I've seen hens with, Jake beards, personally, I wouldn't just because I want to get that tom. But the same thing as people say, like, I shot a Jake the one year. I was having a very hard year. I took a bunch of buddies out. Most of my fields got banged up and overcalled and hunted hard. I had a Jake come through and I'm like, it's the second last day. Tomorrow's gonna be rainy and windy. I'm going to shoot it. And I filled my tag and I was happy with it because at the end of the day, it was either eat a tag and some people say, well, next year it'd be a tom. Sure. But I also like the meat and I like to fill my tag that I paid for. So.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think there's something to be said too. I mean, we have just same thing with deer hunting, right? We have to kill a certain number. We want to get that ratio, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to have like a situation where there's 40 hens in a field. So, and I think, if there was a large number of hens in that, I probably would go that route. But turkey hunting has really exploded, I would say, in the last 5, 6, 10 years.
Yep.
And there is a growing concern in some of the social media forums and things like that, maybe we need to rethink things a little bit here.
Yeah.
Because there are some areas that are starting to see really, really low numbers.
Yeah.
And part of it is overhunting. Some of it is not overhunting, just a larger number of turkey hunters. And then you have predators in that aren't getting taken care of.
And I agree with the same thing, like saying that, like in this area, general area that we're at, we can get a tag zone 2 and we can apply for another one. I think you can in most places. Personally, I mean, I think it's more rewarding getting one a year, saying like I got my one, I had 7 days and I did it. I think a lot of people, if I get one, I get one. If I don't, I got my next tag. If it did get to that situation before, I'd rather them stop giving 2 tags to people or 3 because you can get, at bonus extras.
Yeah.
Rather than getting extra tags, I'd rather just give us one, because if it comes to that point where I now don't get a tag and then I can't get an extra leftover because I didn't get the draw tag that I wanted,
Yeah.
now I don't get to shoot a turkey, I'd be more upset than, okay, that guy got 2 tags this year.
So are you saying like you would rather have it instead of just being a season thing? Like just getting one tag and having more time to fill it?
No, I'm
Oh,
just saying
okay.
I've got A and I could have bought a leftover tag this year. What is it?
Yeah.
EF, whatever it would have
Yeah,
been.
I've got one. I've got A and E.
Yeah. So I'd rather them, if the DNR and they were going to change anything at all, I'd rather them, before they'd start making us get points and do like bear stuff for turkeys, when if it ever get to that point, go to, you can get one tag a year, draw, you put in your A, B, C, D or whatever tag you want. You can get one a year. You're not going to get an extra. We're not going to give bonus extra tags out to people and let them draw for it. I know some people might get upset about that, but before, if it ever got to that point where the DNR was conversating and talking about doing something, let people have one tag, stop giving 2 out, and then everybody can still shoot one before they have to go to a point system where you also, let's say it gets to that point where in certain areas you need to get 2-3 points to shoot a turkey.
Right.
I'd rather everybody get one tag than give out 2.
And I think to an extent, obviously, there's certain zones that produce or that have higher zones.
Yep.
And where it's easy to get extra tags.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You could be through season C already and still pick up a tag
Yeah.
for probably D or E.
Yep.
For sure, F.
Yeah.
There's that many.
Well, same as zone 2 here. I mean, this area, we have quite a few turkeys, but I'm just saying if it ever got to that point, I would hope
for
they
sure.
do that first. I'd hope that they'd get rid of the double tags and just go to single tags before it gets to a bear thing where we got to put in points, or you don't get a tag, you don't get one for the whole year. You can't buy a leftover. Then someone's like, I really enjoy it, I'm obsessed with this, and now I can't go because they changed the rules around because we were short on
They
birds.
got all fired up and bought all the gear and stuff, and then all of a sudden, boom, it changes.
Get nothing.
So, all right, you had asked me mine. I would say for me, like I said, being 100% self-taught, not having gone out with anybody that knows anything. I mean, it was my buddy Mike and I both, and I'm the one who got him into hunting and deer hunting and the outdoors pretty much in general. So I said, over many years ago, 15 years ago, I said, let's get into turkey hunting too. And I think at that time, 15 years ago, I believe he didn't know turkeys could even fly.
What?
I mean, he didn't grow up that way. Now this guy is an avid hunter, who's killed turkeys and killed great bucks and all that stuff. He's learned a lot, and I'm very proud of the growth and how much he's learned over the years. But so seriously, so when we went years, the first several years, getting close, but never been able to close a deal, making so many mistakes, not knowing what we were doing. And then I think it was maybe the 3rd or 4th year, I shot a Jake and I called those things up over a hill, and it was in the evening shortly before roost.
Yep.
And that was just like, and we were both like super stoked. 'Cause we're like, we did it.
Yep.
We got a bird.
Finally.
Like, this is awesome. Like, we've been trying now for, the last 3 years, not knowing anything, not even really coming super close to getting the deal done. And it was just like that was for sure. I was like, my dad's never turkey hunting that. And then coming back and be like, throwing that turkey down, be like, it's like, oh man, you got one. That's what he's like.
Yep.
That felt great. That was a lot of fun. I would say the second most memorable was Drew getting his first turkey, and that was, and calling that bird in and him making a great shot on it, and just the fact that he was super stoked about turkey hunting to begin with. Like wanting to get into it and understand and learn, and the excitement from him filming me, getting my birds, and to him finally getting his was just like that. I would say those are by far the most memorable turkey hunts.
I don't know if you remember that, but what was funny about that is, so as it was coming down the high lines, they're coming down the right of way, right?
Yeah.
And to where we had our blinds set up and the decoys and stuff. I think I even asked you, I was like, you know, can I shoot now? You're like, yeah, go ahead. And you thought like I was still gonna give it some time to come in, maybe get to the decoys. Nope. As soon as you said okay, I was like, bam! In your face! You're dead.
Yeah, it did took me. It took me by surprise because I thought you were going to come in a little bit more. Because I probably shouldn't have just said yes because I wanted to get more footage.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I'd like to bring those decoys in pretty close.
Yeah.
If they hang up and you got to take the shot, whatever, that's fine. But you know, I want to get some decent footage of those birds circling the decoys.
Yeah.
Or, you know, but it's his first bird, so like whatever, man. You know,
Yeah.
do it. We got it on film. It was awesome.
See, I'd say coming to that thing, at least he got his. I got a blooper reel for a couple buddies that have missed some that very, very close. And they sit there and I'm like, you know, I always tell them, like, if you miss, remember, we have more than one shell in the gun.
Yeah.
So keep shooting. And boom, I mean, 3 or 4 times I've had buddies that miss. And I turn and I look at them, like, what? I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? I don't know how I missed. I'm like, that's a good question because I sure as hell don't know how you missed that one. And then it made me think about that, the TikToks they do with, what's his name? The Gabriel Iglesias, where he's like, $50 right there. Because, yeah, they ain't cheap.
Right.
So like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like,
Yeah.
do you want to go to the store? Because I know Walmart's got a sale on them right now. We can go get them. I mean, just give me money. I throw $20 at it right there.
Yeah, they are not cheap by any means, and keep going up.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they getting for a box?
I haven't bought any in a long time.
It's got to be like $50.
I had a buddy that bought me, like, I think it was a 10-pack or a 5-pack of these really, really expensive. When I took him on his first turkey hunt, he bought me shells, and I looked at them, and I can't remember which one. I think it's Federal, something or other. I think it's 5 or 10. I remember looking, I'm like, these are like $50, $60. Oh, yeah. He's like, well, I used yours. I'm like, I buy cheap ones because people like you that miss. I don't feel bad then that you blew through 3 of mine.
Right. Oh, and what size do you use?
Oh, 3.5 all the way. I don't like my shoulder. I want rotator cuff surgery someday. I'm looking for it.
I started out using 3.5. So I'm like, 3 gets the job done.
Oh, it does. Yeah. I don't know why I use 3.5.
Yeah.
Overcompensating.
Right.
Yeah.
For something.
Yeah. 3.5 is the biggest thing I had in my hand last week.
Wait.
It might be a wah.
It's okay, guys. My wife tells me that it's just big enough. Imagination land.
Yeah, you just keep telling yourself that. She's like, no, I actually never said that.
She's going to comment and be like, he's lying. It's 2 inches.
And that seems like a good time to wrap up the show on that note. Yeah, unless there's anything else, I don't know. I think we covered quite a bit here tonight. Man, we did a 2-hour-long show tonight.
Unexpected. But,
Yeah,
you know,
that's always
some
the
of
case,
those are
though.
the best ones.
Right,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, and the thing of it is we could talk turkey for quite a while longer.
Oh, yeah.
And we probably will once the camera's off, so.
You know what we should do real quick, though? We
Yeah.
should see this year, anybody that's following, watching, follows on Instagram, Facebook, all that, put in your pictures this year. Send it over, and we'll post it. We'll tag you in it. And I'd say then at the end of the turkey season, why don't we do like post that picture and say, hey, you get a hat, or even if Easy Cut wants to get in and do something, we do a small giveaway on
I think we could probably put a giveaway together.
the
for
most
sure.
liked one.
I have something queued up for that.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
No, we could, yeah.
Yeah, I
that's a good
absolutely think
idea.
we
I like
could.
it.
Stay tuned, guys. We'll put something together, and then we'll get it posted on all the sites and let you guys know. So make sure, if you're not following us, if you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure you check us out on Instagram, on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, make sure you check us out on Instagram and on YouTube. We are streaming the show live on both YouTube and Facebook right now. And we're really ramping up things on Instagram as well. So check us out in all 3 locations, Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoors.
Because you can't get enough.
Just can't. So good luck to everybody, to all the youth turkey hunters in Wisconsin that are going out, and for everybody in Illinois and the surrounding states that are out turkey hunting right now. Wisconsin season after youth weekend this weekend, starting next Wednesday, is season A for us here in Wisconsin.
Go team.
Excited to get out there. I won't get out there until Friday, but I'll be up there first thing Friday morning while it's still dark out for the next 3 days after that. And then I'll be back up the following weekend filming for Drew and Mike. So busy times. And you said you got season A or you season
do.
B? Yeah.
So next Wednesday.
I know Chris from the team, he's got season B as well. Not sure about Jesse and Steve, but yeah, we'll all be getting after it. I know Jesse's son, Hunter, will be out for youth season this weekend. This is his first time. Jesse just got him his own shotgun and that. And in fact, yesterday they were getting it sighted in and patterned. And so little Hunter there is really excited to get out there. For those of you who have been following for this last year since Jesse's joined the team, you'll know that his son Hunter is quite the hunter. Yeah. Like he takes after his thing quite well, and so we're excited to see it. The success from everybody. So we'll put a little something together here. We'll get something released here this next week, and we'll come up with something.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
I'll throw some calls in there. I got quite a few that I won at a banquet the other day, so I can throw some calls and
put something together. Scott, if you're still on, if you got any ideas for us, let us know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Show. Thanks to Nick Faber from the team here stepping in to co-host tonight. This won't be the last time you see him. He'll be on from time to time. And this was a lot of fun, and good luck, everybody. Till next time, always outdoors.